Hello everyone, today is my first full day back in Tokyo, and as long as I live, I'll never get tired of exploring this city since it's the largest city in the world and there's so much to see. First thing on the agenda today is breakfast as always, and I've heard that the breakfast here is pretty awesome. I just served my food, and so far I have to say I'm a little disappointed by the selection here, and since this is a Western hotel, they offer mostly Western breakfast options. First of all, I'm going to be trying the few Japanese options they did have. This is their grilled salmon. You know, I'm gonna be honest, that salmon is pretty dry. I mean, I feel like I'm just biting into a block of wood because of how dry it is, and the flavor itself is not too bad, but it's just really overcooked. So I'm already getting the feeling that the Western food here is a lot better. Now for the stewed Japanese vegetables and chicken, and this should be a lot better. As far as the Japanese dishes go, this might be the best one at the hotel since it's very comparable to the dishes that I got at the other hotels. You have crunchy lotus root, buttery soft carrots, and stewed chicken. I also got some miso soup. Honestly, that miso soup's pretty bad. In fact, it's worse than a lot of miso soup I've had back in the States just because of how watered down it is. But now I gotta move on to the Western food to hopefully make up for that. They just came around with croissants, and this should be a little bit better. However, I don't think it's gonna be as good as the shiroyama just because it looks quite underbaked. It doesn't look very golden brown. However, it does seem pretty flaky. Yeah, to be honest, that croissant's just okay. It's a little bit flaky on the outside, a little bit crispy. However, it's also a bit on the dry side, and it doesn't taste super buttery since I can tell they've cut the butter with shortening. Completely different than the shiroyama, where I could tell that they only use butter. Now I'm gonna go for their mixed omelet, and I'm sure this has to be a lot better since this was made hot and made to order. That's a pretty solid omelet. It's just cooked through for my liking. It's a little bit on the moist side, so that's quite nice because it's not overly dry. And there's just a variety of things in here. There's like a little bit of ham, but the main star of the show is the eggs just cooked in the butter that they cook it in, and it's pretty decent. Something else I like getting at Japanese hotels is yogurt, so we'll see how the yogurt here compares. I just got their yogurt with mango sauce. Yeah, the yogurt was pretty much what I was expecting for American hotel chain. It was definitely a bit on a watery side, and the mango sauce just tastes like a pre-made mango jam. So honestly, this one's another one you could probably skip out on. The one thing that does look pretty solid here is their fruit selection. They have a variety of fresh fruit, whereas at the shiroyama, they mostly had canned fruit, but this is their melon, and it looked pretty tantalizing. If there's one bright spot this breakfast, it's their melon. It's extremely juicy, just like how Japanese melons should be. It's so aromatic and sweet as well. And honestly, this might be the best part of breakfast, just a fresh melon and fresh fruit. I decided to get one final dish, which is their brioche French toast. You know, to be honest, the French toast is just okay here. It's quite on the soggy side, and I'm really missing the flavor. There's a little bit of a buttery flavor, but the egg flavor isn't really that flavorful either, and the bread is pretty bland, and it just tastes like there's a little bit of light sugar on here. So overall, this is just quite boring. I gotta be brutally honest, that was quite a disappointing breakfast. That's the first time on this trip that I'm actually not stuffed or even full in the slightest after eating breakfast. In my opinion, the value at this hotel is really not that great because the room is pretty much what I expected. It's a solid room, but the breakfast was so poor quality. I found it really disappointing because the quality of the breakfast really just tasted like something I would get at a typical American hotel chain, just like this, except it was the quality of hotel food that I would get back in the States. Honestly, the only thing that made this hotel worth it for me is because I booked this through American Express Travel. I was able to get one of my 3 nights here free. So really, that's the only reason I think it's worth staying here. As far as if you're just paying regular room rates, I would say a much better hotel that is very comparable to this is the Gate Hotel, which I stayed at last year. My room there didn't have the greatest view, but the amount of space was pretty comparable. However, the breakfast there was massively better, just massively better, because they also specialized in mostly a Western breakfast, but everything there was so much tastier from the quality of their ingredients to how everything was cooked and prepared. Now I'm going to be heading off to explore Shinjuku, which is a neighborhood that I really haven't seen much of in Tokyo. That does mean I'm going to have to endure the pain of Shinjuku Station, which is Tokyo's busiest and most confusing train station. So wish me luck because I'm going to need it. I've made it here to Takashimaya, which is a huge department store, and I headed here from Shinjuku Station in order to escape the rain, and it was actually really easy to find my way since it isn't too far from the exit. What's also really nice is they have tons of bags for your umbrellas, that way you don't have to put a wet umbrella in your bag. After exploring the giant food area at the bottom of the department store, I decided to head to the top floor to a Soba restaurant for lunch. I was originally hoping to try some of the food in the basement since they have so many different options, but I realized I actually didn't have anywhere to eat it since they have a large outdoor seating area, but since it's pouring, I decided there's no way I'm going to be doing that. So instead, I'll be having lunch at this popular soba restaurant since I had to wait about half an hour for this. My soba just came out and I decided to get their hot soba since today is a rainy day, and I got their duck broth soba. First of all, let's start off with the broth. Oh, that is so hot and smoky and rich. I taste a really rich, sweet duck flavor. It is a bit heavy, and I taste a bit of oil in there as well, but they also give you some sort of citrus juice on the side to add in. There's also some substantial slices of duck. What a delicious piece of duck. It is dark meat, so it's definitely rich and flavorful. However, it's quite lean, so it's not overly heavy. And then on top of that, you do have a very thin strip of fat as well as skin, which just brings that extra flavor. The main thing to try are these soba noodles, which are made with their hand-milled buckwheat. They know exactly the right way to cook these noodles. They definitely undercooked them a little bit, so now once they've been sitting in a hot broth, they just absorb the flavor, yet they maintain their chew. And you can really tell this is more of a luxurious soba since it's very fine. You don't get any grittiness at all, and it almost just tastes like you're eating regular pasta just because of how smooth it is. This hot soba is a great meal to get on a rainy day like today because it really warms your soul. After lunch, I decided to stop by the hotel to try out a couple of treats I bought when I was at Takashimaya. I got this little grape muscat jelly, and I also got these imagawayaki. Since the Japanese take their packaging very seriously, they wrapped up my treats in wrapping paper. First off, I want to try out this muscat jelly. I love how this muscat grape jelly looks like a real grape, and the texture of it on the outside almost feels like a mochi. Oh, that is delicious. This is not what I was expecting at all. The outside is like a grape flavored mochi layer, and then it's just wrapped around a super fancy and luxurious muscat grape. So juicy and naturally sweet, and you just get that really unique fragrance that you really can't get from any other grape. Now for these imagawayaki, which I'm really looking forward to. When I went to Takashimaya, I just saw them cooking these fresh. These are essentially Japanese pancakes that are cooked on a griddle, and then they're filled with red azuki beans. Wow, this is so lovely. The pancake is really paper thin, and it's a little bit chewy and soft at the same time. And even though it's been a couple hours since it's been made, it still has that sort of freshly griddled taste. The red beans are also really high quality. I love how it's sort of like a chunky filling, so as you bite through it, you have a bit of smoothness of the paste, and then you also have some whole pieces of beans in there as well. Overall, I really wish I could have tried some more foods at Takashimaya, but the few couple treats I tried were quite tasty. Now I'm heading off to dinner at a Japanese Monkfish restaurant, and monkfish is one of Japan's scariest looking fish. However, I heard it's a delicacy, so I'm looking forward to trying it out. I made it here to the restaurant, and I love how it's in a historic old building, so it really gives it a traditional feel. I ordered their standard course, which comes with a variety of dishes, and they started out by bringing out the appetizer, which is a variety of 3 different things. We have edamame, which are green soybeans, then we also have some sashimi and a giant sea snail. Let's start off with the sashimi. Oh, that's lovely. It has a really rich, fatty flavor, and you just taste the oils of the fish on your tongue, and the lemon really adds a nice citrus flavor and kind of cuts some of the richness. Now I want to start off with our first monkfish dish. This is a jelly made from the monkfish bones, as well as I believe some of the meat. That's delicious. It just tastes like a fresh fish jello. These little pieces of fish in there, and it's very sweet and succulent. And then you also have sort of like a soy jelly surrounding it, and then some ginger and green onions. It's finally time for the main part of our course meal. This is their giant hot pot that's just filled with monkfish and liver. Here this goes, my first ever bite of monkfish. That is just an unbelievable fish. I've never tasted anything like it. The piece I got was really nice and gelatinous. There's a little bit of sweet, tender meat on it and a slight briny flavor, and then just a nice bit of almost like fat, and had a very nice and sort of gelatinous and chewy texture, and it almost reminds me of beef tendon. The part I'm most excited about is this monkfish liver, which is the most treasured part of the animal and is a true delicacy. Oh man, that is a delicious bite. The texture of this is almost like a soft tofu, and the flavor almost reminds me of a mackerel fish, and it tastes really nice and fatty. So it's got all those natural oils of the fish, but it's not overly so. You just get a little bite of this in a broth. I can definitely see why that liver is the most treasured part of fish. It's just really rich and fatty and delicious, and it really doesn't taste like liver at all. Surprise, surprise, this course meal also comes with chawamushi. And of course, since we're at a monkfish restaurant, this chawamushi is made with the liver. That is a really satisfying bite of chawamushi because the liver and egg, they just kind of mesh together and meld together in all their flavors, and the flavor of the egg really cuts down some of that richness and intenseness of the liver. To end off the meal, they made this special rice porridge. They used the cooked down broth from all that hot pot, and then to it they added rice as well as egg and green onions just to make this wonderful concentrated rice porridge. Let's just go for a bite of this. It's steaming away. Oh, that is just like a sensory overload. I taste every element of this dish. I taste all the flavor of the monkfish that's just been cooked in that broth, as well as the liver and all the other vegetables that went into that hot pot. The rice has a congee-like texture just because it's been boiling in this broth and it was already pre-cooked before that. And then you have a crunch from the green onions, and then I love the egg on top, which is just perfectly soft cooked. And finally, they give you a cup of green tea at the end of the meal just to round off everything. What a rare and exciting feast that was. Although the monkfish looks like a sea monster that wants to eat you, you should actually be the one eating it because it is so delicious. I know it might seem pretty intimidating and scary at first, but you definitely gotta give this restaurant a try. After exploring Akihabara for a bit at night, I've made it back to my hotel. Today was a great first full day exploring Tokyo. I know I took things a bit slower since I was still a bit tired from the travel day yesterday and because it was raining most of the day. However, I still really enjoyed my time. Tomorrow I'm going to be visiting my friend who lives in Yokohama, and she offered to take me around Yokohama's Chinatown, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that since it's Japan's largest Chinatown. Anyways, I really hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure if you did to give it a like, and also make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.